Welcome back to 10 Minutes with 10 Leaves. I'm your host, Bhumika Arora, and I'm once again joined by Rohit Ghai, founder of 10 Leaves. Welcome, Rohit, sir.
Hi, Bhumika. Nice to have you back again and me back
Yes,
again.
yes, likewise, sir. So, in a previous episode, we had explored the fundamentals of tokenization, what it is, why it's changing access to real world assets, and how the UAE has been actively nurturing this space through real estate pilots and regulatory sandboxes in DIFC and ADGM. And today we pick up right where we left off. We are diving into a huge real world development, the Dubai Land Department. It has just launched the region's first licensed tokenized real estate pilot through the Pripco Mint platform. Now, let's unpack what this means, how it's structured, and where this could take the future of real estate investment in the region. So, I wanted to understand Dubai Land Department has just launched MENA's first licensed tokenized real estate pilot with Pripco. Now, why is this a landmark moment for the UAE? And how does it build on the tokenization momentum we've already seen in the ADGM and DIFC?
Well, Bhumika, the it's a good in fact, it's a fantastic development because a lot of people have been talking about tokenization, real world assets, tokenization of real estate. I've been getting calls every second day on, oh, we want to tokenize real estate. But unfortunately, there hasn't been a clear cut way of how to do it or proven way of how to do it, right? So what's fantastic about this initiative is that it's the Dubai Land Department or the DLD. That's the department which actually issues the title deed. And so what they're doing is they have actually provided access in a way that they tokenize that the title deed. So it's not earlier what was planned is that they'd have an SPV, so the title deed would be held by the SPV or the property would be held by the SPV and the shares of the SPV are tokenized. But in this
Right.
model, it's the government's department which is providing access to the title deed on the blockchain, which completely changes it from the trust factor, from a smoothness factor. And of course, when you have blessings of the government who's actually involved in doing this, it's much more trustworthy. It's much more smoother for everybody, all the parties in the mix, right?
Right.
Now, who are the other parties in the mix? You have the Virtual Asset Regulatory Authority or VARA, which
Hmm.
kind of overlooks the virtual asset activities within the Emirate of Dubai. You have Dubai Future Foundation. You have Pripco Mint, which is a company which is regulated by VARA. And you have the Zand Bank, which is a homegrown digital bank. All of these coming together and doing something which a lot of people all around the world have been talking about, but not really done it as well. So this is I'd say, a landmark moment for the UAE, and they've not tokenized only one. The second property is already gone, and these properties actually sold out in minutes. So yeah, it's a fantastic product, and I hope now they look at expanding the sandbox to many more players and seeing where this takes us.
Absolutely. I think that really puts it into perspective. And I think it's very exciting to see how the UA is moving from policy to real world implementation. And, it's just leading the region while doing everything like this. So I also wanted to understand that the pilot allows UAE residents to invest with as little as 2,000 dirhams, but with important safeguards like client money accounts and DLD validated pricing. Now, how do these design choices strike a balance between accessibility for the masses and protection for investors?
Well, I mean, like you said, safeguards, client money
Hmm.
accounts, DLD validated pricing,
Hmm.
DLD issuing the tokenized title deed on the blockchain, having regulated entities all across, having a homegrown digital bank on one side. What more can be done? I mean, this is really the best way to tokenize real estate in any part of the world from what I've seen. You have all the players, you have the government, and you're allowing the small tickets of 2,000 dirhams plus, which you're talking hardcore retail investors. Now, these
Right.
retail investors are the ones which usually get conned. You
Hmm.
have these unsolicited websites also claiming that they're doing this tokenization, and the normal gullible investor looks at, oh wow, I'm going to get a piece of real estate or whatever asset for very, very low. So that they are more prone to getting conned,
Hmm.
if I may.
Hmm.
So this project actually helps to bring comfort to the investor that yes, we have the government body on the one side, you have regulated entities through and through. So it's really the safest way to do this. Of course, I mean, considering that real estate inherently is a risky investment,
Hmm.
but there's no risk in the process. At least you have all the people and all the parties in the process very well regulated,
Hmm.
and so there's that part of it is sorted at least. Now, of course, the real estate performs well, doesn't perform well. That's a market thing. That's something
Hmm.
which remains to be seen over a period of time.
Right. I think very correctly said, sir. It's a thoughtful and a safe balance, and it's opening the doors to everyday investors, but with smart guardrails in place. So I think it,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah, and it definitely feels like this pilot was built with long-term trust in mind. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
I mean, even
Hmm.
even one more thing I forgot to mention actually, Bhumika, but
Hmm.
the transaction pricing, which is normally 4%
Hmm.
DLD fee, has been reduced to 2% DLD fee for this. So you're actually
Okay.
saving money by getting this done because you save 2% right off the bat.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
No,
Hmm.
your transaction costs also minimized because again, a lot of the tokenization bit and creating an SPV bit, administrative overhead, all that is
Hmm.
suddenly come down to a very, very bare minimum because it's much more cost effective for this. Because yeah, we're saying let's say you're investing 2,000 dirhams, but how
Hmm.
much can that move? That's usually 5 to 6%, seven
Hmm.
percent max, or depending on the market. But here, so every bit of additional expense eats into that return. In this case, the expenses are kept much more lesser than they could have been. So that
Hmm.
itself is a kind of a saving, or let's say a kind of a advantage.
Right. Okay. So moving on, from using the XRP ledger to syncing ownership records with DLD in real time and keeping all the transactions in AED, how do these tech and regulatory layers come together to make this pilot both compliant and scalable?
See, that's a good question because and the answer lies in the question, right? So you're talking about you're having a XRP ledger, which is again a well-known blockchain. You're having the
Hmm.
transactions in dirham, so you really don't have any exchange rate risk anywhere. You have the technology and regulatory layers working together in a sandbox. You have all the parties working in tandem in a sandbox kind of an environment. So obviously they've done the testing, they've done a lot of back-end work to ensure that this goes through. So that's the proof of concept, and they already have a
Hmm.
proof of concept. So I'd say they're going to be expanding this. Now it's expandable. Once you understand that how to do it, it's working well. There's no glitches in the process. Then I think the next step is to add more people, add more players like Pripco, who are able to bring in the additional investors on the pilot. You're able to add maybe a couple of more banks to give more
Hmm.
options and things like that. So
Hmm.
yes, it's compliant and scalable and in a good way.
Right. And I think there is a seamless sync between tech and regulation, and that's what is making it different from the hype that we often see elsewhere.
Because I mean,
So
everyone's interested in
yeah,
getting this done, right? I mean,
absolutely.
and you're trustworthy, and I mean, the main thing is trust over here because it's very difficult for a retail investor to trust someone who's saying that, oh, you can invest 2,000 dirhams and you get access to real estate. It's so difficult to trust
Hmm.
that. You have crowdfunding
True.
platforms which are regulated by DFSA. That's also an excellent way of going about it. And now you have
Hmm.
this, which is again, spearheaded by the government.
Right. Right. All right. And my last question for you is that
Hmm.
right now it's limited to ready to own properties. But with
Hmm.
goals to tokenize 7% of Dubai's real estate market by 2033, what's the bigger
Hmm.
picture here? Like for property, for different property types, global investors, and platform players, what's the bigger picture?
See, I mean, seamlessness in investing in real estate. is key here, right? So right
Hmm.
now it's open to persons who have UAE, the Emirates ID basically.
Hmm.
But it can be expanded to global players. The I think Pripco had 100, I don't know, 50 plus nationalities or something of that sort in the second property. So there's a mix of nationalities. Now you just have to have a mix of geographies. So
Right.
my head would have this only for ready to own properties because, again, when it's ready to own, you have a clear title deed, it's there, it's lesser risk. But maybe later on they can expand it to other kinds of properties, but have the bar raised a little high to make sophisticated investors who know what they're doing rather than the retail investor. Maybe limit them to only ready to own properties or something. So commercial real estate. A lot of this is, I mean, the sky is the limit here, and if you're doing it in the right manner, I feel it provides a lot more. It unlocks let's say a hidden dynamic in the real estate market in general, where you allow
Hmm.
much more participation and fractional ownership, with the comfort that all this is more seamless and all this is going on in a manner which is well regulated, compliant from all sides. So I feel
Hmm. Hmm.
it's very exciting. It's not going to take a we're not going to tokenize 50% of the market, but that 7%, 8% you're talking about unlocks much more value, actually.
Right. Okay. Okay. That actually paints an exciting picture. Uh, all right. Uh,
Yeah.
that brings us to the end of today's episode, Rohit sir. It was a great insight. Thank you for unpacking the layers behind the exciting development, actually. And anything else that you would want to quote? Anything else you want to say?
Uh, I mean, at the end of it, I'd say we only talked about the investors, but there's also a solid opportunity for virtual asset players, people,
Hmm.
companies like Pripco who want to help to unlock this by being in the middle. Broker dealers, platforms which sit in the middle and perform services like Pripco does right now.
Hmm.
So there's a lot more. I see a lot more virtual asset service providers moving into the region and operating in this space. So that's another dynamic, So that increases the participation in the digital economy, which actually is the long-term vision of Dubai.
Hmm. Right. Right. All right, and we will wrap up our episode here. And to our listeners, if you are building, investing, or simply curious about the evolving landscape of digital assets and tokenization in the UAE, now is the time to stay informed. We will be back soon with more insights on innovation, regulation, and the future of finance. Until then, stay curious, stay informed.